Assalamualaikum. Today we will discuss the drawing process. Drawing is one of the process in metal forming. Okay, it's one of the process in metal forming. So drawing is a process to reduce the size, usually diameter of the small wire or long rod. Is a process reducing the cross-sectional of a long rod or wire by pulling. This is the keyword. By pulling it through the die. Unlike extrusion, in extrusion we push the raw material to pass through the die. But in drawing, we pull the raw material from the die. So usually the typical part is a wire. Copper wire usually we can found in the electrical cable, rod, shaft for power transmission machine, blank for bolts, rivet, electrical wiring cable, and also welding electrode. Okay, this is the schematic diagram of the wire drawing process. So we can see here, this is the raw material and flow through the die. This is the die, and when it pass through the die, it will reduce the size. The diameter will be reduced, and by pulling, this is the force, we pull the raw material from the die. We pull from the die. So here we in the drawing process, the important section is this area we call it the relief angle. We have to provide the relief angle in the drawing process. If we don't provide the relief angle, the product, the workpiece or metal, when we pull it from the die, it easily break into two. So that's why we have to provide the relief angle. Okay. Instead of rod or wire, we also can produce the tube using a drawing process. In the tube drawing, it can be done using 4 different process. You can select from these 3 different process. So the first one, without mandrel, we can reduce the diameter of the tube, using the process A. We call it without mandrel process, and B is with the B, C, and D process is using mandrel. Use a mandrel. So using a mandrel, have a mandrel, and also have a mandrel here. Okay, so for B process, we use a stationary mandrel, which means the mandrel does not move, only the workpiece will move to the right. And the floating mandrel, also the mandrel is stay in the middle of the tube, and the workpiece will pull to the right. And D is a moving mandrel. The mandrel will move to the right, and it pass through the die, and the raw material will stick at the outer side of the mandrel. Okay, so you can choose either you can choose the suitable process of the tube drawing depends on the output of your product. Okay, for the without manual, we can control the inner surface of the tube. We cannot control the inner surface. If you want to control the inner surface, especially the roughness and also the diameter, you can use the mandrel system. Either you can use the stationary, floating, or moving mandrel. Okay. Okay, no mandrel is used. The limitation is a lack of control over inside diameter. So if you use the without mandrel system, you cannot control the inside diameter and also the wall thickness of the tube. It's no mandrel issues. If you use no mandrel, you cannot control the quality of the inside section. Internal section of the fluid you cannot control. If you use the fixed mandrel, you can establish the inside diameter and wall thickness of the tubes, but the limitation is the length of the tube to be drawn. If you use the floating plug or floating mandrel, this is the removable mandrel, and you can use for the longer tube. Okay, this is the comparison between extrusion and drawing. This extrusion and drawing, they have a similarity, which is the end product. Usually, the end product is the product must have the same cross section, uniform cross section, and long and continuous. This is the similarity, but they still have a difference between extrusion and drawing. Here we discuss the difference between extrusion and drawing. So the raw material can be same. The raw material is for extrusion is a billet. For the drawing, rod, wire, or tube. Process for extrusion can be done in hot and cold work. Hot and cold work. But for the drawing process, only done in cold working process. Means that the material for drawing must be ductile. Okay, the raw for the extrusion, there is a container chamber to place the raw material, and for drawing, the raw material pass through the die only. And in extrusion, process of forcing billet. So the keyword is a forcing for the extrusion, and for drawing is a pulling. Keyword is a pulling. So we pull the raw material from the die. Okay, for the product is for extrusion we can produce solid and hollow product, and drawing also we can have a solid product and also the tube. Okay, thank you very much. For the next lectures, we will discuss other process in metal forming. Thank you very much.